So, properties of parallelograms. There are 5 important properties of parallelograms that we are going to need to know, and we're going to mark those on this parallelogram that's drawn right here, and then we'll add that to our note card. So let's see. Okay, did everybody get a note card? Did you guys get them over there? Everybody's okay. All right. So let's see. I need to cut. Oh, sorry. Cut this on. All right. All right. So for parallelograms, they are called parallelograms because their opposite sides are parallel. So the symbol that we usually use to show that 2 sides are parallel is we put like these little arrows there on the side. And then this side I would do double arrows instead of just a single one because they're not, these 2 sides are not parallel to the first 2 that I have marked. Okay. So that would be our first property. Opposite sides are parallel. Opposite sides are also congruent. So this side is equal to this side, and this side is equal to this side. Opposite angles are congruent. So if we look at this angle right here, the one across from it on the other side is congruent to that angle. And if we look at these 2, they should be congruent to each other. Okay. Number 4 says consecutive angles are supplementary. What does that mean, supplementary? There was a complementary and a supplementary that you should have hopefully learned about somewhere, maybe. Any ideas? Okay, supplementary means that they add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so consecutive angles means the same side of the parallelogram. So for example, this angle and this angle are on the same side. They share a side, so they add up to 180 degrees. These 2 angles right here are on the same side, so they add up to 180 degrees, right? These 2 add up to 180. These 2 add up to 180. So if they share a side, they add up to 180 degrees. Okay, and our last one is that diagonals bisect each other. So I'm going to use a different color. Our diagonals are our lines connecting our corners. Okay, and if the diagonals bisect each other, that means they cut each other in half. They're not equal to each, all the pieces are not equal, but this piece would be equal to this piece, and this piece would be equal to this piece. Okay, so let's add this to our note card. I'm going to make this my properties of parallelograms. And I'm going to draw a separate picture for each one instead of labeling it all together like we did in that one that we just did, so I think it might help. So our first property is that opposite sides are parallel. And I'm going to draw a parallelogram, and I'm going to put little arrows here to show that those two sides are parallel. I'm going to do a double arrow right here and right here to show that those two are parallel. Okay. Opposite sides are congruent. Here, so in a parallelogram, the sides across from each other are congruent. What was that next one? Angles. Yeah, opposite angles are congruent. So we're going to put that one here. Give me a second there to make sure you got that. Okay, okay here. If I got that, I'm going to flip over to the back of mine, depending on what you got room for there. You might need to do the same. So I'm going to add a little bit to this one. So consecutive and I'm going to put in parentheses same side. Angles are supplementary. And I'm going to put in parentheses here, add up to 180 degrees. the way I'm going to show this here is I'm going to label this A, B, C, D. Since I only have one angle at each corner, or one letter at each corner, and I don't have any lines going through the middle of this, it is okay for me to call this angle right here just angle A instead of using 3 letters for it. I could call it DAB, but it's okay to just call it A. Most of the time we can't do that because we usually have other lines there as well. But I could say measure of angle A plus measure of angle B equals 180 degrees. Or I could say measure of angle B plus measure of angle C equals 180. Or measure of angle C plus measure of angle D would equal 180. Or measure of angle D plus measure of angle A would equal 180. And our last one here is that diagonals bisect each other, and that will look like this. We draw in the diagonals. They're going to cut each other in half. So this piece would be equal to this piece, and this piece would be equal to this piece. The diagonals are not equal to each other, but they cut the pieces in half. Unless it's a rectangle, in which case they would be. Okay, check your neighbors, see if they got a decent looking note card. See if they got everything written down. Okay, we are right here. Let's go look at some problems now. So, this just runs through some vocabulary. I already really went over a lot of this. Parallel is 2 straight lines that do not intersect. Congruent, same length or same measure. Consecutive means next to each other or same side. Supplementary means they add to 180, and bisect means to cut in half. So we've talked about those sort of as we went along. Alright, so this just goes into greater detail of what we've already put on our note card. And it just tells you about how they put those arrows there in this case. In this one, you have this example, opposite sides of the same length. So example, if AD is 7, then BC would have to be 7 as well. If BA is 8, then CD would have to be 8 as well. Angles here, just another example. If angle A is 36, angle C would have to be 36. I don't like this picture right here. This is not mine. Borrowed it. Because if I just mark everything with one arc, what's that supposed to mean? They're the same. Are they all the same? No. So like I would put another little arc right here with one of these. So So like if A was 36 degrees, then this would also be 36 degrees. If this was 110. I don't even know if I want to write that. I need to go back and rework these notes. Because that's not... You don't want to put both of those on this triangle at the same time, because could you have... Why would that be bad? Could this angle be 36 and this angle be 110? Why could it not be? These two same side angles do not add up to 180. So let's not write those in there. I need to go rework these notes. They're not great. Okay, consecutive angles are supplementary. We already talked about that. Again, they use the same picture here. I don't like this picture. We need to add another little line here because A and B are not equal to each other. So consecutive angles, again, are just ones that share the same side. So, for example, if you had A is 40 degrees, then B would have to be 140 degrees because they'd have to add up to 180. Okay, it gets to some that you actually have to do some work here in a second. Bisect means to cut in half. So on this, DE and EB would be equal to each other. AE and EC would be equal to each other. Okay, so let's actually do some problems. Okay, for example 1. Okay, Angel, what would AD be for example 1? What? It will not be 68 because 68 has a little circle behind it, meaning that it is what? It is your angle. AD does not have 3 letters, or it can't be, like, you could call it 1 letter, but if they intend for you to do an angle, they will put the angle symbol with it. And you could never have an angle named with just 2 letters. It either have to be 1 letter or 3 letters. So it's talking about side AD. What's the length of side AD, Angel? It'd be 8. Very good. Okay. Victor, what's side DC? 15. Very good. Okay. All right, Josiah, here's one that's a little bit trickier. What would be the measure of angle A? Okay. We only have one angle in this whole thing, right? What about angle B, Josiah? What would angle B be? That one would be 68. Okay. But we have to use our other angle property here that tells us that the same side or consecutive angles add up to 180 degrees. So what would we do to find angle A? Not add 68 and 68. Okay, we're going to subtract 68 from 180 because these two have to add up to 180 degrees. So we're going to do 180 minus 68, and that is going to give us 112. And that would be the measure of angle A because these two angles have to add up to 180 degrees. And Jasper, what would we get for angle C? Nope. 15 is one of our sides. It's not one of our angles. So you got a couple options here. One of them's easier than the other. What do we know about opposite angles, Jasper? Okay. They're congruent, right? It's one of our properties. It's that third property that we wrote down. Opposite angles are congruent, meaning they're the same. So like D and B were the same. A and C are also opposite angles. They're across from each other, so you're going to get 112 degrees for that one. Okay, questions? Okay, there. All right, let's keep going. Okay. So, let's see. Kama, what would we get for UT? 27. Very good. It is the same as the side across from it, which would be RS up here, which is marked as 27. Okay, let's see. Keely, what about ST? It would be 18, same as the side across from it. Also, this is clearly not drawn to scale. I need to go back and rework these notes. I did not. I don't know. Maybe I did make that and lost my mind. I don't think I did, though. I think I just borrowed these from Miss Martin, who I think borrowed them from somebody else. So I need to go back and rework them. They're not great. This is clearly not drawn to scale because RV and VU. Is this going to be 15 if this is 7? No, it's very, very much not drawn to scale. But let's just go with it and use our property. So for VS, right here, Chelsea, what would we get for VS? Not 15. It's going to be 7 because the diagonals cut each other in half so that this piece is equal to this piece over here. So, Chelsea, what would VT be? That one's going to be 15. Very good. Okay. And then, Joseph, the last one asked us for RT. What will we get there? 30. We just have to take those two pieces of that line, RV and VT, add them together. We will get 30. Okay. Questions? All right, let's keep going. All right, now, this one is one of those problems. We've done a couple with the triangles where they're throwing some algebra in there. So we've got LM is 9x minus 25, and PN is 5x plus 7, and we are supposed to solve for x. So, Alex, what do you think we should do to solve this problem? Okay, we're going to put them in an equation because LM and PN are equal to each other, right? So, what could we do? What type of equation could we set up? Or what would it look like? What would the equation be? Not plus, but just equals 5x plus 7. So these two are just set equal to each other because they should have equal length, right? So, Alex, what would we do to solve that equation? I usually like to move my x's first. You could, I would probably do the minus 5 to avoid the negatives. So that'll give me 4x minus 25 equals 7. Okay, what would come next, Alex? Very good. And that's going to give me 32. And last step, Alex. Very good. We'll divide, and x equals 8. Okay, questions? All right, let's do, there's one more, right? No, that was the last one? Okay. All right, so, those notes seemed like they were going to be long, but they're really just kind of long on that first part where it's explaining it. Your assignment for today is going to be on Delta Math. You honestly definitely should get this. You should definitely get this done in class because we still have like 45 minutes of class left. So when you go to Delta Math, you should see 5.5 assignment parallelograms. There are one-step problems, and then there are multi-step problems. You got to do 10 of the one-step problems. You got 3 of the multi-step that you're going to do for me. We're going to work on this in class right now. You should get this done. Really, probably it's more of like a 20-minute assignment than a 45-minute assignment. So, if you get this done, when you get your parallelogram stuff on Delta Math done, that needs to be done first because that's your homework for tonight. But whenever you get that done, this is our last section for this unit. Tomorrow, we are going to be reviewing, and Thursday is our test on this unit. So when you get this Delta Math done, I have tomorrow's review broken up into 4 parts, right? So go ahead and start on part A of that test review once you get the Delta Math done. Okay, yes. Oh, thank you. I will switch it up here. I'm just going to end focus for a moment, and then I'll do a new one once you guys all get in there. Okay, it should let you in now.